Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is the first episode of a series called Jank or Junk, a series where I'm going to be brewing up some decks that might be jank, might be junk. Only way for you to find out is to watch the videos, maybe try the list yourself. So today's list is called Green-Black Devotion. This list has a lot in common with the old Mono-Black Devotion lists, if you remember it from Standard from a good little while ago. So this deck is trying to abuse Grey Merchant of Asphodel as well as Eldritch Evolution. That's what the green splash is for. The green splash is also going to give us access to one of the better removal spells in Modern, which is Assassin's Trophy. Looking at the list, you can see that it doesn't really deviate that far from the mono-black strategy, really only going there for the two spells, but we also gain access to Hissing Quagmire in our land base. This, I'm not so sure if it's going to stay in the deck, but it's pretty good if you need to block something and you don't want to give up a creature that's giving you devotion. So the main players in this deck are Eldritch Evolution and Grey Merchant of Asphodel. If you're not familiar with it, Eldritch Evolution says, and as an additional cost to cast Eldritch Evolution, sack a creature. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, where X is 2 plus the sacked creature's converted mana cost. Put that card into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So this is great because we can sacrifice any of our 3 drops to get Grey Merchant, which, when it enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain life lost in that way. So our smaller creatures kind of help us power out this Grey Merchant of Asphodel, as well as help us look for the Eldritch Evolution. Viscera Seer lets us sacrifice a creature to scry 1, and Bloodghast and Geralf's Messenger, you'll notice, are both recursive creatures. This means that we can sacrifice them and there's minimal downside to them being sacrificed. Bloodghast comes back in if you drop a land, and Geralf's Messenger has Undying, which means that if it does not have a 1/1 counter on it, it's going to come back onto the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. No mono black list would be complete without at least 2 copies of Gatekeeper of Malakir. He's great because he adds 2 devotion to the field, as well as if he's kicked, he has an edict effect which can clean up bogles as well as whatever nasty creatures your opponent might be using in a go tall strategy. Midnight Reaper is kind of an experiment in this list, kind of replacing Phyrexian Arena. While you don't get a draw every single turn off of it, he does provide a body which could be important in aggressive matchups. As far as the spell base goes, it's relatively standard compared to most green-black rock strategies. You have your discard, removal, as well as Collective Brutality. Collective Brutality is one of my personal favorite cards. It just has so much variety. It removes dorks, it can drain and gain, and it can also rip spells out of your opponent's hand, kind of like a bad duress. So really standard. The mana base, I have one concern with, and that's Field of Ruin. In a deck that's all black devotion, top decking a colorless mana source doesn't feel good. However, I fear that this deck may have a pretty abysmal Tron matchup, and rather than devote the entire sideboard to trying to win against Tron, I feel like just a 2 of Field of Ruin in the board could be enough to kind of help us out in that aspect. So I may end up just swapping those out for 2 more fetch lands, more than likely what I'm going to do, but I'm going to give it a shot. So the board, relatively straightforward. We have 3 surgical extractions, which are for combo. Collective Brutalities for burn. Damping Spheres are good for Tron and Storm. Liliana the Veil comes in for control matchups. Liliana the Last Hope comes in for the humans, as well as any other creature-based strategy. Leyline of the Void is the perfect graveyard hate for this deck because it adds 2 devotion to our field, as well as kind of hosing any kind of deck that's really trying to abuse their graveyard. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. This was the first one that I've ever made. If you think it's jank, let me know. If you think it's junk, let me know. Only way we're really going to find out is to put the deck to the test. I hope you enjoyed, and have a great day.